Micah Parsons is reportedly on the verge of signing a historic contract extension with the Dallas Cowboys, a deal that could reset the market for defensive players. Now, don't get me wrong. Micah Parsons is a dynamic athlete. He's fast, aggressive, and exciting to watch. But when we dig into the details, the question becomes, is he truly worth record-breaking money? Parsons has earned a reputation as a splash player, someone who thrives on highlight reel moments. That was true in college, and it's followed him into the NFL. But splash plays don't always equal consistent dominance. Take a closer look at his production. Out of his 52.5 career sacks, 10.5 came against Washington, 5.5 against Carolina, and another 4.5 against the New York Giants. That's nearly half of his total sacks against three teams with historically poor offensive lines over the past few years. It raises the concern that Parsons is more of a bully, overpowering weaker competition while often disappearing against elite opponents. It's one thing to rack up numbers against struggling franchises, but playoff football doesn't give you Carolina or Washington on the schedule. It's all elite all the time. This is why I firmly believe in paying elite money only to elite players who show up in every situation, not just favorable ones. Right now, there are only 5 defenders in the NFL I'd pay top dollar to without hesitation: Myles Garrett, Jared Verse, Max Crosby, Patrick Surtain II, and Chris Jones. Garrett has been the highest-graded defensive player for 3 straight seasons. Verse, though young, already looks like the second coming of Lawrence Taylor. Crosby never quits, even when his team trails. Surtain is the best corner in football, and Chris Jones is a rare interior lineman who can line up anywhere and win. That's rare. That's valuable. On the flip side, Micah Parsons has appeared in 4 playoff games with only 1 sack and no forced fumbles. His impact has been minimal when it matters most. That's not what you want from a guy about to become the highest-paid defender in the league. There's a big difference between making noise in the regular season and actually being a game-changer in January. Garrett, Jones, and others have proven they can dominate playoff-caliber offensive lines. Parsons hasn't yet. This brings us to a broader point. It's simply more difficult to find elite interior defensive linemen than edge rushers. You can name 15 solid edge rushers in the league today. But when you think of truly great interior defensive linemen, names like Aaron Donald and Reggie White come to mind, and that's about it. Chris Jones belongs in that rare group. That's why I'd rather build my defense around players like him. As special as edge rushers can be, they're far easier to replace than dominant players who can collapse a pocket from the inside. Switching gears, former Steelers linebacker James Harrison recently shared an honest take about Mike Tomlin, his former head coach. Harrison said, "What I liked most about Tomlin is that he's a player's coach. What I disliked most? Also that he's a player's coach." That's a powerful statement. Tomlin is beloved in the locker room. He gives players space and lets them be themselves. But that freedom isn't always a good thing. Some players thrive under autonomy, others take advantage of it. And over time, that looseness has caught up to the Steelers. Look at the facts. Pittsburgh has gone 18 seasons without a losing record under Tomlin, an impressive streak. But they haven't won a playoff game in 8 years. They haven't beaten a top-tier quarterback in the playoffs in over a decade. That's not coincidence. That's a reflection of a culture that lacks the structure and discipline needed to win in January. Compare that to the Rams under Sean McVay, the youngest defense in football last year, yet also the least penalized. That's coaching. That's attention to detail. That's culture. Now the Steelers are adding DK Metcalf, the most penalized wide receiver in the league since entering the NFL. They're potentially bringing in Aaron Rodgers, a legend, yes, but not known for off-season dedication or accountability in recent years. Rodgers does things his way. Combine that with Pittsburgh's already relaxed locker room, and you've got a recipe for chaos, not championships. Great teams are built on culture. The Chiefs win because they're sharp, detailed, and disciplined. Andy Reid and defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo run a tight ship. Every snap matters. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, is a well-run organization with a loose top. That's why they're always competitive, but never great. That's how you explain 18 winning seasons and 0 playoff wins in 8 years. In the end, the message is clear. Micah Parsons is talented, but if you're handing out $150 million, you'd better be certain he can take over games in the postseason, not just rack up sacks against bottom-tier teams. The Steelers, meanwhile, must decide if being good but not great is still acceptable, or if it's finally time to tighten up their culture and chase real postseason success.